विक गिरिधारी श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाए। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाए। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशुमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु महाभगवत श्री गोरक्षदास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नित्यानंद विश्व श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्यानंद विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुपुरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल कोरमंडल ब्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विरक्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय श्री जैव धर्म की जय। जय श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Alright, so we'll do Mangala Charan. अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय भक्ताय नमो नमः। श्रीसिद्धान्तसरस्वतीति विदितो कोडिया कुर्वन्वये भातो भानुरिव प्रभात गगने योगोरसङ्कीर्तनाय माया भारतमिङ्गिलोदरगतान् उद्धृत्य जीवानिमान् कृष्णप्रेमसुधाब्धिकाहन सुखं प्रादात् प्रभुं तं भजे। वन्दे भक्तिविनोदं श्री गौरशक्तिस्वरूपकं भक्तिशास्त्रज्ञसम्राजं राधारससुधानिधिं नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवराय ते श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। वृषभानुसुतान्वितवामतनु यमुनातटनागर नन्दसुतं मुरलीकालगीत Vinoraparang Bhajagodruma Kanana Kunjavidum Smaragoragadadara Kelikalam Bhavagoragadadara Pakshachara Shrinugoragadadara Charukathang Bhajagodruma Kanana Kunjavidum Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya vina ittivigyaya devi tvang nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay shivtashtakamadhitaranga madhye kripa mai tvam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, dear devotees. Let's see who's there. Um, Yashoda Didi, Haribol, must be like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:09. Nitai Mukesh ji, Chatamai Mataji, and let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Um, Bangshiwala Prabhu, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Rohini Nandan Prabhu. I'm guessing Indira Mataji is there. And I don't know, there's some other devotees. Pranams to all of you. If you write a comment, I'll see your name. Pranams to all the devotees watching in the future. So, yeah, I'm still a bit sick, but my sore throat's gone. So yesterday it was painful the whole time I was reading, but now that's gone. So that's good. Now it's more just like that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, today we are reading the last chapter of Jaiva-dharma. I think it's chapter 40. Um, Haribol Sarveshwari Mataji. And we're reading Jaiva-dharma. We're reading this last chapter because it goes to the same topics that we read in the last chapter of Harināma-cintāmaṇi. And I guess I just wanted to read it. I wanted to because in Jaiva-dharma, sorry, in Harināma-cintāmaṇi, it explains all the different stages of bhav um in a very brief way, but I wanted to get a little bit because it's the first time I ever actually read about this. And so I wanted to see in Jaiva-dharma a little bit more of a thorough explanation. And yeah, this is way beyond like this is, I'd be lucky if I can reach this stage in many lifetimes, even if I can reach this stage. But at least it's nice to know what our aim and object is when we're performing our sadhan from whatever level we're at. We know that this one day, this is what I'm aspiring for. One day I'll be able to become absorbed like this. So that's why we're reading this. It's um yeah, it's helping us know what to aspire for. Okay. Actually, just give me 1 second. I just need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. Oh, Krishna. Oh, thanks. Haribol Sarveshwari Mataji. All right. Oh, and Haribol Vidilalas Adidi. Haribol. I already saw Vidilalas Adidi. Okay. So, Maybe I'll just go back to the beginning, or maybe we can skip a couple parts, but just to get the flow. Okay, so this is chapter 40 of Jaiva-dharma. This is a supreme wealth. Hare Krishna, Nitai Mukesh. Okay. Vijay pondered deeply. Hearing about Vraja Leela, a greed has now awakened in my heart for that Leela, and thus I will gradually attain the stage of complete success, Sampatti Dasha. It's the last stage, right? Is Shravan, Varan, Samadhi, Apan, and then finally Sampatti. Sampatti is when you attain the wealth of Prem, Vastu Siddhi. So he therefore concluded that he must know about the nature of this gradual development. Thinking thus, he approached Sri Guru Goswami and humbly inquired, Prabhu, I need to know the various stages that a bhakta undergoes, beginning from the stage of hearing to the stage of Sampatti Dasha, complete success, when they attain that Sampatti, that treasure of Prem. Goswami. Altogether, there are 5 stages. Shravan Dasha, the stage of hearing. 2. Varan Dasha, the stage of acceptance. 3. Smaran Dasha, the stage of remembrance. 4. Bhavapana Dasha, the stage of, here it says the stage of spiritual ecstasy. Actually, let's just look up the word apana. I think it's the stage in Harināma-cintāmaṇi, it said the stage of attainment. But I'm just curious. Apana. Apana. Yeah, so in the Sanskrit dictionary, Monier Williams Sanskrit dictionary means obtaining, reaching, coming to. Obtaining, reaching, or coming to. And so that's coming to the state where you've now finally fully realized your siddha, you've attained Swarup Siddhi, you the perfection of your Swarup. You know who you are. You can you're yeah. Okay. That's the stage of Bhav. Now you're situated in your Swarup, but you still have the physical body. That like okay. And then Prem Sampatti Dasha, the state of attaining the highest success of Prem. Vijay, kindly explain Shravan Dasha. Goswami. When the jiva develops ruchi for hearing Krishna Lila Katha, it should be understood that his state of aversion has been removed. At that time, an intense hankering to hear Krishna Katha awakens in him, and he has to hear transcendental Krishna Katha from the lips of a bhakta who is much more advanced than he is. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasman Mahan Mukarita Maru Vich Charitra Piyushashesha Sarita Parita Shabanti Taye Pibantya Vitrisho Nripagada Karnais Tanas Prashantya Ashana Trid Bhayashoka Moha. In assemblies of saintly people, unlimited rivers of pure nectar emanate from the mouths of great souls in the form of descriptions of the transcendental character, pastime, and qualities of Sri Krishna. Those who are never satiated when they drink these nectarian glories through their ears with rapt attention, they can never be subjugated to hunger, thirst, fear, grief, delusion, and other anarthas. Vijay. Those who are averse, Bahirmukh Dasha, they also occasionally hear Krishna Katha. What kind of Shravan is that? Goswami. There is a vast difference between the Shravan of Krishna Katha in the state of aversion, Bahirmukh Dasha, and Shravan in the state of being favorably disposed, Antarmukh Dasha. The Shravan of those who are Bahirmukh takes place by chance, and not because of their Shraddha. Such Shravan gives rise to spiritual fortune that leads towards Bhakti, Bhaktyunmukhi Sukriti. And when this has accumulated over many lifetimes, it gives rise to transcendental Shraddha, Paramarthik Shraddha. At the stage that this transcendental Shraddha is awakened in the heart, Shravan of Krishna Katha from the lips of saintly personalities is called Shravan Dasha. There are two types of Shravan Dasha. The first is unmethodical or irregular hearing, and the second is hearing methodically in a regular order. So the first one is Kramhin Shravan Dasha. Now there's Kram Shuddha Shravan Dasha. Kramhin and Kram Shuddha. So one without a sequence, and the other is in a pure sequence. Vijay, what is Kramhin Shravan Dasha? What is irregular hearing? Goswami, Kramhin Shravan Dasha is hearing about Krishna Lila in an irregular and unmethodical manner. Hearing Krishna Lila with irresolute intelligence results in this sort of unmethodical Shravan, because such hearing does not enable one to realize the relationship between the various Leelas, and thus Ras does not awaken in his heart. Vijay, please explain about Kram Shuddha Shravan Dasha, systematic hearing. Goswami, Ras only awakens in one's heart when Krishna Lila is heard methodically or in a regular order with resolute intelligence. When one hears the Ashtakaliya Nitya Lila, the eternal eightfold pastimes, separately from the Naimittik Lilas, the occasional Lilas such as Krishna's divine birth and so on, then his Shravan is Kram Shuddha. Only this Kram Shuddha Shravan is desirable on the path of bhajan. Remember, everything that we're reading right now is for when you're at a very high stage, going past Ruchi and Asakti, and like these are very high stages. So, yeah. Only this Kram Shuddha Shravan is desirable on the path of bhajan. If one hears Krishna Lila in the Kram Shuddha manner, the sweetness and charm of the Lila is gradually conceived, and the inclination to perform Raganuga bhajan appears in the heart of the listener. At that time, he thinks within himself, "Aho, Subal has such a wonderful Sakya bhav for Krishna. I will also render loving seva to Krishna like him in Sakya Ras." This type of strong affinity is called lobh, greed. The performance of Krishna bhajan with such lobh, following the sweet bhavs of the Vrajavasis, is called Raganuga Bhakti. I have given the example of Sakya Ras, but this type of Raganuga Bhakti is also performed in all the four rasas, beginning with Dasya. By the grace of my Praneshwar, Shri Nimananda, you have a natural disposition for Shringar Ras. Because you have heard about the Vraj Gopis' exceptional bhavs and seva attitude towards Krishna, the greed to render Premamai seva to Krishna like them has appeared in your heart, and that very greed has bestowed upon you the path to obtain such a prakrit seva. In reality, the only Shravan Dasha of this process is confidential conversation between guru and disciple. Vijay, one's Shravan Dasha considered completed. Goswami, one's Shravan Dasha is completed when one realizes the eternality of Krishna Lila. Since Krishna Lila is supremely pure and transcendental, it completely captivates the mind and heart. One is then afflicted with acute impatience to enter into it and participate in it. Sri Gurudev describes to the Shishya, to the disciple, the Ekadash Bhavs that I mentioned previously. Shravan Dasha should only be considered completed or perfected when the disciple's disposition of mind is imbued with the loveliness of the Leela. At that time, the disciple is afflicted with intense eagerness and attains Varan Dasha. That's the next stage, the stage of acceptance. Vijay, Prabhu, please tell me about Varan Dasha. Goswami, when the spontaneous attachment of the heart is bound in the Leela by the shackles of the Ekadash Bhavs that I mentioned previously, the disciple becomes overwhelmed and falls at Gurudev's feet, weeping constantly. At that time, Gurudev becomes manifest in the form of a Saki, and the disciple as her attendant. The essential characteristic of the Vraja Gopis is that they are extremely eager to render loving service to Sri Krishna. Gurudev is a Vraj Lalana who has reached the perfectional stage of this seva. At that time, the disciple humbly prays to Sri Gurudev with the following heartfelt sentiments. I already read these verses yesterday, so I'm not going to reread them, but this is from Raghunath Das Goswami's Premam Bhoja Marandakya Stavaraj. Actually, we included a song in the Gaudiya Giti Gucha by Srila Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura called Mahabhav Chintamani, I think it's called. And it's uh, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's Bengali rendition of this Premam Bhoja Marandakya Stavaraj. Oh, Radhalike, I am very degraded, holding a blade of grass between my teeth and falling at your lotus feet with all possible humility. I pray that you will kindly shower your grace upon this destitute soul and enliven me by bestowing the nectar of service under your direction and guidance. Those who are celebrated as kind and merciful do not reject even wicked people who accept their shelter and surrender unto them. This is their very nature. Therefore, please be kind to this wicked person who has surrendered unto you. Please do not deprive me of your causeless grace. I am longing so intensely for the loving service of the divine couple of Vraj under the shelter of your lotus feet. This is the typical bhav of Varandasha. In this stage, the Guru Rupa Saki gives the sadhak the order, the agya, to engage in Ashtakaliya Lila Smaranam by taking complete shelter of Krishna Nam while residing in Vraj, and assures him that his heartfelt cherished longing will be fulfilled very soon. Vijay, please tell me about Smarandasha. Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami has said this famous verse. Krishna Smaram Janam Jasya. Actually, do you want to see it with the word for word next to it? That might be helpful, huh? Let's see. Let's look at it here. Um, 1 second. It is. It's page 28 on Raganuga Bhakti. Okay. So, Srila Rupa Goswami's conclusions regarding the method for performing a Raganuga Bhajan are stated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these verses here, 1, 2, 294 to 296, as follows. So, Seva sadhakarupena siddharupena chatrahi tadbhavalipsuna karya vrajalokanusarata. A sadhak who has lobha for Raganuga Bhakti should serve Shri Krishna both in the sadhak roop and the siddha roop in accordance with the bhavs of the ones who possess the same mood for which he aspires. And the sadhak roop refers to the physical body in which one is presently situated, and the siddha roop refers to the internally conceived spiritual form which is suitable to serve Krishna according to one's cherished desire. One should serve Shri Krishna in these two forms by following, not imitating, under the guidance of Krishna's beloved Shri Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, Rup Manjari, and others, as well as their followers such as Shri Rupa, Shri Sanatan, and Shri Raghunath Das Goswami. Devotion which involves the practice of the limbs of bhakti such as Shravan and Kirtan, carried out by sadhaks with intense longing, lobh, to attain the service of their innermost desired object, Vrajraj Nandan Shri Krishna, is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is performed in two ways, with a sadhak roop and with the Siddharup, it's repeating itself. Anyways, residing in Braj with an intense desire to obtain one's cherished object, Sri Krishna, and the divine sentiments of his beloved associates, that is Rati towards Sri Krishna, one should follow in the footsteps of the eternal residents of Braj, the dear associates of Sri Krishna, such as Sri Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, and Sri Rupa Manjari. One should also adhere to personalities such as Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, who performed bhajan and Braj in pursuance of the sentiments of those eternal associates. With one's internally conceived body, one should execute service within the mind, Manasi Seva, in accordance with the eternal associates of Braj, such as Sri Radha, Lalita, Vishaka, and Sri Rupa Manjari. With the external body, one should carry out bodily services following in the wake of perfectly realized devotees such as Sri Rupa and Sanatan, who are also residents of Braj. Let's see. Okay, I'm skipping a little bit. In his commentary to this verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this one, Krishna Smaram Janam Chasya, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad has explained the same thing, namely that the word Vrajaloka refers to the dearmost associates of Sri Krishna and their followers such as Sri Rupa Goswami and others. Therefore, one should perform internal service, Manasi Seva, through the medium of the Siddha Deha by following. Okay, this is all. It's so long. Okay, now the next verse. Oh wait, no, this is a verse. Krishna Smaram Janam Janas Chasya Preshtam Nija Samihitam Tat Tat Katha Ratashchaso Kuryad Vasam Braje Sada. One should constantly remember one's dearest Navakishore Sri Nandanandan and the beloved associates of Krishna who are possessed of Sajatiya Bhav, or the identical mood for which one aspires. One should always reside in Shri Vajdam with great attachment for hearing the topics regarding Krishna and his devotees. If one is physically not unable to live in Raj, one should do so mentally. This is the method of Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. And now, the next verse. Hey, how come it's... whatever. We'll just read from here then. Um, Actually, I just want to see how it's organized in this book. Sorry, guys, I'm taking a long time. Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrahi. Okay, it's just in a different order. Interesting. Okay. So Seva Sadhaka Rupena, yeah, okay, we just went through this verse. Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrahi Tadbhava Tadbhava Lipsuna Karya Vraja Lokanusarata. And now the verse Shravanot Kirtanadini. Shravanot Kirtanadini. Where is that one? Huh, that's strange. Can't find it. Shravan. Huh, strange. Okay, anyhow. Shravanot Kirtanadini by the Bhakti Udita. Sorry, by the Bhakti Nitu Yanyangani Chatanyatra Vigyayani Manishibhi. The sadhak should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with his beloved eternal associates. He should absorb himself in chanting and hearing their glorious pastimes, and he should always reside in Vraj. Those who have developed greed for Ragatmika Bhakti will render service following the residents of Vraj internally by Siddharup and externally in their Sadhak Rup. Those who are well versed in transcendental knowledge, who are Tattvavit, they know full well that all the various limbs of bhakti, such as Shravan and loud kirtan, should be practiced in Raganuga Bhakti. Even before Vijay Kumar heard the in-depth explanation of these three shlokas, he asked, "What is the meaning of Kuryad Vasam Braje Sada?" Goswami, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, it means that the sadhak should reside physically in Braj Mandal In other words, in the pastime places of Shishi, Radha, and Krishna, the Lila Mandal. If he cannot stay in Braj physically, then he should do so mentally, because the result of residing in Braj mentally is the same as residing there physically. The sadhak should follow in the footsteps of a particular Saki whose loving bhavs, premik rag, has attracted him. He should reside in Braj with the abhiman, with the identity, the identity of being a kunja sevika, a maid attendant in the kunj of that particular Saki. He should constantly remember Sri Krishna and the bhav of that Saki. With his gross body, the sadhak should perform the angas of Vaidhi Bhakti, such as Shravan and Kirtan. With his subtle body, he should constantly remember the Ashtakaliya Lila and render his assigned seva as a Siddha Vrajagopi according to the 11 bhavs he has attained, the Ekadash bhav. Outwardly, the sadhak must maintain his life following the prescribed rules and regulations, and internally, he should cultivate the bhavs that nourish his spiritual form, his siddha deha. One who follows this procedure correctly will naturally develop detachment from anything other than Vraj. And remember, this is all about the stage of Samadhi Dasha. Then Vijay asks, please illustrate the seva more clearly. Goswami. The real meaning of Vrajavas is to stay in a solitary place with a prakrita bhav. The sadhak should render seva according to the Ashtakaliya Lila, the eightfold pastimes, while regularly chanting a fixed number of Harinam. He should regulate all activities for bodily maintenance so that they do not become unfavorable to his bhajan. In other words, life should be molded in such a way that activities of bodily maintenance become favorable to one's bhajan. Vijay Kumar contemplated this deeply and said, Prabhu, I have understood this fully, but how can the mind be composed? Goswami. The mind automatically becomes composed as soon as one attains the Raganuga Bhakti. This is because the hankering of the mind for worldly enjoyment automatically ceases when it is enlivened with the inherent loving attachment of the self, and it runs towards Vraj. In other words, the mind chases after mundane enjoyment only because of its affinity for it. But when this affinity is directed towards Vraj, the mind becomes completely composed because of the absence of such attachment for worldliness. Still, if any apprehension of obstacle remains, it is beneficial to adopt the gradual course, the gradual course that I mentioned previously. Then, when the mind becomes fully composed, the distractions of worldliness cannot cause any harm. Vijay, what is the meaning of kram, of the gradual cultivation that you're referring to? Goswami, one should maintain a fixed count of Harinam, and one should devoutly chant Shri Harinam for a fixed period every day in solitude. Okay, so there's two things. One should chant fixed number, but then also there should be a fixed period when one chants, from early in the morning, or um, absorbed in his particular bhav. So one should chant Shri Harinam for a fixed period every day in solitude, absorbed in his particular bhav. And one should keep his mind free from mundane thought. Slowly and gradually, one should increase the time for this sadhana, and eventually the stage will come when the mind will always be saturated with alokik chinmoy bhavs, so that no mundane thoughts can prevail over it. Vijay, for how long must one follow this practice? Goswami, one should continue to follow this practice until he has reached a state of mind that is beyond any disturbance. Vijay, how can one perform Nam Smaran with Bhav? Please elaborate on this point. I need to blow my nose again. One sec. I'll be right back. On Haribo, Ashray Tattva Prabhu, and Gokuleshwari Didi, and Anari Krishna Prabhu. Haribo. All right. So how can one perform Nam Smaran with Bhav? Please elaborate on this point, Goswami. First, you should chant Nam in Ullas, a mood of rejoicing. Then combine that joy with possessiveness, with mamata. After that, you should compound that mamata with vishramba, with intimacy. When you do this, Shuddha Bhav will gradually arise. So first with Ulas, then combine that with mamata, and you should compound that mamata with vishramba. So the mood of rejoicing, then with possessiveness, and then intimacy. When you do this, Shuddha Bhav will gradually arise. Then Bhava Apana Dasha will appear, the attainment of Bhav will appear. Initially, during the time of Smaran, the sadhak simply imposes Bhav on his practice. However, in the stage of Bhavapana, Shuddha Bhav manifests in the heart, and this is called Prem. This indeed is the sequence for gradual development of Nishta within the heart of the Upasak, of the transcendental servant. And this practice also includes the development of Nishta in the conception of the object of Upasya, the object of one's seva. What is the sequence of Upasya Nishta? So Nishta in one's object of one's seva, becoming completely unwavering and fixed in your service of your worshipful object. That's Upasya Nishta. So Goswami, if you want to attain the fully blossomed stage of Prem, then you should accept the following instruction of Sri Das Goswami. This is where we came up to yesterday. Yadi cheravasam Brajabhuvi saragam pratijano yuva dvandvam tachchet paricharitu narada bilashe sarupam shri rupam saganamihatasya grajamapi sputam premna nitya smaranamata twang shinumana. It's the third verse of Manashiksha. O mind, if you cherish an ardent desire to live in Vraj with the Rag, and if you long to render direct loving seva, life after life, to Vraj Yugal in their Parakiya affairs, which are free from any bondage to the rules of wedlock, then you must distinctly and constantly remember with love Sri Swarup Goswami and Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan Goswamis, along with their associates. You should accept them as your Guru Rupa Sakis and offer them pranam. The idea is that if one performs sadhan in the bhav of swakiya ras, the result is samanjasa ras, in which the seva bhav to the divine couple is inhibited and not in a fully blossomed state. Like the queens of Dwarka, right? They have samanjasa rati for Krishna. Therefore, you should perform bhajan maintaining the spiritual ego, the abhiman of pure parakiya ras, according to the conceptions of Sri Sarup, Sri Rupa, and Sri Sanatan. Even during the sadhan stage, when the bhavs are simply imposed, one should only adopt the mood, the pure parakiya bhav. If the sadhak imposes the parakiya bhavs, parakiya rati will manifest, and parakiya ras will eventually manifest from this parakiya rati. This is indeed the nitya ras of Vraj, aprakat lila. This is the eternal ras of Vraj's transcendental pastimes in nitya vrindavan, the nitya lila. Vijay, what is the process of hearing Kram Shuddha in sequence in Ashtakaliya Lila? Remember, we heard about Kramhin and Kram Shuddha. So, what is the process of hearing in sequence? That should actually come after that word sequence there. Anyways. So Goswami, after explaining all the fascinating varieties of ras in Ashtakaliya Lila, in the pastimes during the 8 times of the day, Sri Rupa Goswami has said, Attalatvad aparatvad aptoso durvikhatam sprishtai parang tathastena rasabhir madhuro yata. This is in from Ujjvala Nilamani from the Gona Sambhog Division 23. Krishna Lila is completely transcendental from all aspects. It is a sweet ocean of ras. However, this ocean is unfathomable and has no shore. Krishna Lila is incomprehensible for the beings of this mundane world because it is extremely difficult for them to penetrate the mortal realm and have access to Shuddha Aprakrit Tattva, the pure transcendental reality. The Aprakrit Ras is so astonishing, variegated, and all-pervading that it cannot be surpassed. Moreover, even if one who has been enlivened with Aprakrit Bhav and who lives within that pure Tattva explains the esoteric Krishna Lila, his description cannot be flawless or complete because description depends on words, and words are incapable of fully expressing that transcendental reality. What to speak of such a person when Bhagavan himself describes a Prakrit Ras? Listeners and readers who are themselves overwhelmed by mundane faults and limitations, they perceive even his own description as faulty. Consequently, it is certainly very difficult to dive deep into the ocean of Ras. However, when one is situated on the shore of this ocean in a neutral state, one can describe just a drop of it. Vijay. Then how is it possible to attain a Prakrit Ras? Goswami. Madhur Ras is unfathomable, matchless, and difficult to understand. This is the very nature of Krishna Lila. However, our beloved Krishna is unlimitedly endowed with 2 special qualities, which are the real basis of our hopes. He is Sarva Shaktiman, he is possessed of all potencies, and Ichamoy, he is possessed of his own unimpeded and independent will. Therefore, by his sweet will, he can easily make his esoteric leelas manifest in this mundane world, although they are unlimited, unfathomable, and difficult to understand. This mundane realm is extremely insignificant and petty, but still, as a supreme autocrat, he desires to bring the topmost transcendental aspects of Krishna Lila to this world, and it is only by his causeless mercy that his transcendental, eternal, sweet Leelas, which are saturated with ras, a prakrit nitya madhur rasamay Leela, it's only by his causeless mercy that these transcendental, eternal, sweet Leelas, which are saturated with ras, have manifested in this mundane world. How is it possible for Sri Mathura Dham, which is aprakrit, which is transcendental to this mundane world, to manifest in this world? And how does it exist here? No argument can be applied in this matter, because it is never possible for the limited intelligence of humans or devatas to understand the activities of Bhagavan's Achintya Shakti. Rajalila in this world is the Prakartabhav, is the manifest experience of the topmost Krishna Lila, which is transcendental to this mundane realm. We have realized and attained it, so there is no cause of anxiety for us. Vijay. If Prakat Lila and Aprakat Lila are both the same tattva, how is it possible for one to be superior to another? Goswami. Undoubtedly both are the same, the manifest and unmanifest pastimes. The Lila that is manifest here indeed exists in its entirety in the transcendental realm. However, from the point of view of the conditioned souls in the initial stages of sadhan, it appears one way, and as they gradually advance, it appears in progressively elevated forms. In the stage of bhavapana, realization of this lila is completely pure. Vijay, you are eligible to hear this subject, so I have no hesitation in speaking with you. One attains the stage of bhavapana in his smaran dasha, in the stage of remembrance, as a result of performing the appropriate sadhan for a long time. During the stage of smara, when one becomes completely free from all the polluted moods of his mundane experience. The stage of apan, realization of one's swarup, appears. Shuddha Bhakti mercifully appears in the sadhak's heart according to the degree of appropriate practice in Smarandasha. Bhakti alone is Krishna Akarshani, attractive to Krishna. So by Krishna's grace, all the dirt in the form of misconceptions is gradually removed in Smarandasha. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-26, Yatha yatatma parimrijate so matpunya gatha shavana bhidhanai tatha tatha pashyati vastu shukshmam chakshur yataivanjana samprayuktam. The meaning is, just as anointing the eyes with salve gives them the power to see even subtle objects, similarly, when the jiva's heart is cleansed by the Shravan and Kirtan of my supremely purifying Leela Katha, he gains the ability to realize extremely subtle tattva, namely, the truth of my Swarup and my Leelas. So, Gopal Guru Goswami continues. He says, when the eyes are treated with ointment, they can see much more clearly. In just the same way, a jiva can realize the aprakrit swarup, the transcendental nature of the manifest Krishna Lila, to the extent that he is purified by contact with the aprakrit vastu, the transcendental reality, through Shravan, Kirtan, and Smaran of Krishna Lila Katha. It is said in Brahma Samhita 538, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yang Shama Sundaramachinta Guna Sarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I perform bhajan of the primeval Purush, Sri Govinda, who is Sham Sundar Krishna. His form has inconceivably unique qualities, and his Shuddha Bhaktas perpetually see him in their hearts with the eyes of devotion anointed with the salve of love. At the stage of Bhavapana, or Swarup Siddhi, the faculty of transcendental vision appears, and at that time, the sadhak can have darshan of his Saki, and also Yuteshwari Shrimati Radhika. Even after having darshan of Golokanath Shri Krishna, the sadhak's realization is not steady at all times until he achieves the stage of Sampatti Dasha, in other words, Vastu Siddhi. So Bhavapan means Surup Siddhi, and Sampatti is Vastu Siddhi. Even after having darshan of Golokanath Shri Krishna, the sadhak's realization is not steady at all times until he achieves the stage of Sampatti Dasha Vastu Siddhi, in which his gross and subtle bodies are destroyed. In Bhavapana Dasha, the pure jiva has full command over the inert and gross and subtle bodies. However, the secondary result of Sampatti Dasha, the stage in which Krishna's mercy is fully manifested, is that the connection of the jiva with this mundane world is completely cut off. Bhavapan Dasha is called Swarup Siddhi, and in Sampatti Dasha, one attains Vastu Siddhi. Vijay, how does one experience Krishna's Nam, Gun, Rup, Lila, and Dham at the time of Vastu Siddhi? Goswami, I cannot answer this question. I will only be able to see them and speak about them when I attain Vastu Siddhi. And you will only be able to understand and realize these things when you attain Sampatti Dasha. At that time, there will be no further need to make you understand the various aspects of Krishna Lila. You will perceive it directly, so you will have no more need for further inquiry. Besides, it is useless for the bhakta to express what he sees in his Swarup Siddhi, that is, in the Bhavapana Dasha, because none of his hearers will be able to realize what he is saying. Srila Rupa Goswami has described the symptoms of the Swarup Siddha Mahapurushas as follows. Jane chej jata bhavepi vaigunyam ivadrishyate karya tathapi nasuya kritartha sarvataiva sa. It's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.3.59. One may see some apparent imperfection or misconduct in the external behavior of bhaktas who have attained the stage of bhav. Even so, it is essential not to be envious of them by attributing faults to them, because they have become completely detached from everything other than Krishna, and therefore they are fully successful in every respect. Wow. Dhanyasyayam nava prema yasyo milati chetasi antarvani bhirapyasya mudra sushtu sudurgama. It's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.17. This prem only appears in the hearts of those who are very fortunate. Even those who are learned in Shastra find it very difficult to comprehend the activities and movements of those in whom the new sprout of prem has appeared. Vijay. If that is so, why are there attempts in Sri Brahma Samhita and other such Shastras to give a description of Goloka? Goswami. When great sadhus are situated in their Swarup Siddhi, and when Brahma and other devatas have been mercifully granted a vision of Shri Krishna's transcendental pastimes, they have tried to glorify such pastimes through their stavas and stutis, according to their respective visions. However, such descriptions are only limited because this mundane realm has no proper words to express the aprakrita bhavas. Besides, bhaktas who are not sufficiently advanced cannot fully comprehend such descriptions. The bhaktas, however, have no need for all these descriptions. It is recommended that they should perform bhajan by taking support of the prakat lila that Sri Krishna has very kindly manifested in this world, and they will accomplish all perfection by this alone. Those who perform such bhajan in Gokul with nishta will very soon receive a spurti of Goloka in their hearts. All the Divya Lila of Gokul are also eternally existent in Goloka, for in Tattva there is no distinction between them. Those with material vision perceive phenomena and activities in Gokul as mundane or illusory, but such perception ceases to exist at the time of Swarup Siddhi. One should continue to perform bhajan and be satisfied with whatever realization of the transcendental reality is bestowed upon him according to his adhikar. This is really Sri Krishna's instruction. If we sincerely adhere to his instructions, in due course of time, he will surely bestow upon us his causeless mercy, through which we can have the full vision of his Divya Lila, of his transcendental pastimes. Now Vijay Kumar became completely free from doubt in every respect. He fully awoke to his innate disposition and skillfully dovetailed all the Ekadash bhavs in Krishna Lila. He seated himself in his bhajan kutir on the seashore, became completely composed, and spent his entire time relishing Prem Seva. During this time, Vrajanath's mother left this world, and Vrajanath left for his native place along with his grandmother. Sakya Prem had arisen in his unalloyed heart, and thus he resided in Navadvip Dham in the association of sincere Vaishnavas, and performed his bhajan blissfully on the bank of Bhagavati Ganga. Vijay Kumar, however, gave up his householder's dress, and accepted the kopin and bahirbas of the renunciant. He maintained his life by madhukari, begging Sri Mahaprasad while remaining constantly absorbed in bhajan. Throughout all the 8 prahars of the day and night, he only took a little rest during the time of Shishi Radhakrishna's transcendental sleep. After they ate, he would honor prasad, and when they were awake, he would render appropriate seva. His Harinam mala was in his hands at all times. Sometimes he would dance, and sometimes he wept loudly. At other times, while gazing at the waves of the sea, he would laugh. Who but Vijay himself could understand the movements of his bhajan and the transcendental bhav of his heart? Outwardly, his name became Nimai Das Babaji. He never indulged in speaking or hearing worldly talk. He was the very embodiment of humility. His character was spotless, and his determination in bhajan was unwavering. If anybody offered him Mahaprasad or Kopan Bahirvas, he accepted only the very least that he needed, and not more. While he was chanting Harinam, tears constantly rolled down his cheeks. His throat became choked, and the hairs of his body stood erect. Within a short span of time, he attained perfection in his bhajan, and Sri Krishna most graciously bestowed upon him the adhikar to render seva in his aprakat lila. Like Brahma Haridas Ṭhākura, his bhajan deha, the body with which he performed bhajan, was buried under the sands of the beach at Puri. Bolo Bhagavan Shri Krishna Chandra ki jai. Wow. So we only have a couple more minutes to read. I'm not going to read the Bengali for this, but this is, I think this is the Falshruti. Yes, it is. So we'll just read the translation of this. After striving many days in carrying upon his head the Kripa Shakti of Sri Guru, Krishna, and the Vaishnavas, this lowly Bhaktivinoda has composed Jaiva-dharma according to the pure conceptions of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. This book was fully complete on Maghi Purnima, the full moon day in the month of Magh, in the year 410 in the Chaitanya era. That's 1896, at Surabi Kunj in Godrumadweep, near the sacred river Jahnavi in Navadvip Mandal. Those who desire the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga, the purifier of the age of Kali, should read this book with faith. However, I take an oath that someone who has not developed even a trace of Shraddha for Sri Gauranga Dev should not read this book. For the dry Muktivadis, they can never attain the shelter of Sri Krishna. But one endowed with spiritual Shraddha will gradually realize the full esoteric aspects of Vrajalila. Chattamai Mataji, you raised your hand?
Yes. Jai Gurudev. Thank you so much for the wonderful reading. It's such a comfort to be reading each time something new realization comes. So I'm seeing Vijay Kumar. It says he gave up his householder dress and he's not resting much and he's austere, he's weeping loudly. At what point does one come to this stage where they're an independent agent in their sadhana and they no longer need the supervision and guidance of their Gurudev?
Well, as far as I understand you, the sadhak, like, that never ceases. Like, one is always under the guidance of Sri Gurudev.
Okay.
I mean, that's Raganuga Bhajan. That's the practice that we just read about. That in their sadhak deha, they perform all the activities of Vaidhi Bhakti, following Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, like that. And then internally, in their spiritual form, they're serving under their Guru Rupa Saki, their Sri Guru and the Guru's Saki form, like that. And
Right.
that's the practice of Raganuga Bhajan. So there's always, and there's that famous verse, Krishna Bhakti Janmamul Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Like, even that the what is it, the mul, like the root of attaining Krishna Prem, Krishna Bhakti, is Sadhu Sangha, and even in perfection, Sadhu Sangha remains the main
Okay.
object. So it's never like, okay, no need for Guru anymore, but it's always, even in perfection, even in Vastu Siddhi, the Saki serving under the, you know what I mean? There's always like that guidance.
Okay. That clarifies it. Thank you so much.
No, I mean, this is just according to my understanding. But yeah. Let's just hear the Falshruti and then we'll end. The Falshruti is not way too long. And yeah, then we'll end the reading. But yeah, this is getting me excited to read Jaiva-dharma. Like, I do a program to read all of Jaiva-dharma. So, as indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam in the second verse, Dharma Projita Kaitavacha Paramo, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive. Chala dharma. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem. Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error, however. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified by such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahmagyan. The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus, he rejects Sri Bhagavan's vichitrata, his astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and lila. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of nirvishesh Brahma. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrit, it is materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakrit dharma. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, the Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upai, as the means of attainment, and the upaye, the goal worthy of attainment. Upaye? That's interesting. Okay. The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he kevaladvaita. That is upeya. I think that might be a mistake. I think it's supposed to say upai and upeya. Yeah. Anyways, I have to look. But yeah. The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he kevaladvaita. Absolutely one and always a Shri Hari. No. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy. The jiva Swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Whereas Sri Krishna's Swarup is Prabhu. Krishna's nature is that he is the master and the bhokta, the enjoyer. This book, entitled Jaiva-dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahma. The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti devoid of material motivation. The jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. One who reads Jaiva-dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva-dharma can never attain Bhakti. We used to recite this in Gurukul every day. Jaiva-dharma pateshe, Shuddha Bhakti hoy, Jaiva-dharma na porile, kabu Bhakti noy. Faithfully reading Jaiva-dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva-dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles. One who faithfully reads Jaiva-dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of jnana and karma. Such a man, being fully devoted to Shri Shri Radha Krishna Jugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, their immaculate loving service, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service. Thus ends the 40th chapter of Jaiva-dharma, entitled The Supreme Wealth, end of the third division, Samapti. Samapti means end, the end. Wow. All right. So that's the end of Jaiva-dharma. And I guess our next program, we will go through Bhakti Tattva Vivek. Sarveshwari Mataji is also suggesting we go through Bhajan Rahasya. So I'll think about that, because that's, yeah, I mean, Bhajan Rahasya goes together with Harināma-cintāmaṇi, right? Like in the introduction to Harināma-cintāmaṇi, Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says that Bhajan Rahasya used to be called Praman Mala, and it was, he said that it was there to establish everything in Harināma-cintāmaṇi. It's to give shastric evidence of everything in Harināma-cintāmaṇi. And yeah. Anyways, we'll see. I haven't like totally confirmed that yet if we're going to do Bhajan Rahasya now, but I'm thinking of it. So, all right. I'll just do a short Mahamantra and then we'll end for today. because I do also really want to get back to our Bhaktivinoda Kiti Thara program. But I'm going to start that once I send the songbook to the printers. That's going through all the songs of Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. So, all right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Saccidānanda Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev ki Jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Sapashad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Jai Shri Saccidānanda Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai, Jai Shri Vijay Kumar ki Jai, Jai Shri Vrajanath ki Jai, Jai Shri Gopal Guru Goswami ki Jai, Shri Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Jai Shri Jaiva-dharma ki Jai, Jai Shri Harināma-cintāmaṇi ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namo Vancha Kalpatarubhyashra Kripa Sindhubhya Evasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, Chatamai Mataji, Nitai Mukeshji, Yashoda Mataji, Sarveshwari Mataji, Ashray Tattva Prabhu, Gokuleshwari Didi, and let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Vangshīwala Prabhu, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Rohini Nandan Prabhu, Vidyalalasa Didi, Hari Mohini Didi, and all other devotees, maybe Indira Mataji is there, and Indira, Raseshwari Mataji is saying, let's read Jaiva-dharma. Yeah, I really want to read Jaiva-dharma. I think we'll do Jaiva-dharma after Bhaktivinoda Kiti Thara, though, after we go through all his songs. Yeah. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Thank you. Oh, Haribol, Janaran Prabhu. Haribol. And thanks for Prabhu. All right. Is there anything anybody wants to mention before we end today's reading? Okay. So see you all tomorrow. I'll be back in Navadvip tomorrow. So I'll be back in my normal setup. And I guess we'll start. We're not going to start Bhajan Rahasya. I'm still making up my mind about Bhajan Rahasya, but tomorrow we will start Bhakti Tattva Vivek for sure. And that's a small book. That won't take so long. So, all right.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Dandavat.
Yes,
I just wanted to say, at the very beginning of your readings, it stuck to my mind that only when, Jaiva-dharma, only when somebody is really studying in a proper manner, like organized, not just like I'm listening here and then I'm going there, and sometimes I read from this book and sometimes I go to that class. But as far as I understood, please correct me if I'm wrong, that it has to be in organized and like you said, dubious manner or something like that. It's not just I crash in some class today, but tomorrow it will be something else. And or when I read a book, I read from the cover to cover. I don't
No, it's good
go.
to read. It's good to read in sequence, right? We were just reading about that today, right? There's Kram Hin and what was the other one? Kram Shuddha. But yeah, we should always read in sequence, and we didn't really do that. That's why I was wondering. I was like, is this inappropriate? But it was the same topic that we were reading about in Harināma-cintāmaṇi, and so that's why I just wanted to see a different thing. But yeah, it is best to read
I
in order.
wanted to say this is exactly what you are doing. Take one book and then you study it, and then you, if you need to discuss it, then you go like this. And this is wonderful. I'm sorry I cannot go every time and then study afterwards, reading more the same text and maybe meditating on that. It's wonderful when devotees are reading books. For example, you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Srila Prabhupada mentions another Shastra, which is like a deeper meaning, and then devotees take that Shastra and then they read both, and like this is
That's no
called,
problem. That's okay.
isn't it?
That's okay.
Really,
Yeah,
this is one of,
that's why references are always given so that we can look deeper into any topic.
yeah. And this is exactly what you are doing, and this is what we can also study more like that afterwards.
Yeah, I always like to see different parallels, and I'm more enthused to do it when I'm with other devotees also. So I'm great for that. Gokuleshwari Didi is asking, can I describe what does it mean to hear Harikatha in a methodical way? Like it means in sequence from Bal Lila, Krishna's like baby pastimes, to Mathura Lila. Okay, well, this is the first time I ever read this topic, so I don't know any more than, I mean, I'm sure devotees here know more than me on this. This is like my very first time reading about all this. But what I understood when I read it was, I mean, like it's talking about Shravan Dasha when you're like at the stage of like reaching Bhav, like when you're like, close to reaching Bhav. I'm not sure if that's like Ruchi and Asakti and like that. So this is what was explained there was like very high thing. And so I thought it meant when it was saying Kram Heen and Kram Shuddha, that was referring to maybe that hearing all of Krishna's pastimes like in chronological order. But then it was mentioning the Ashtakaliya Lila, right? So like hearing about Krishna's pastimes, like once you're at that stage, and then Guru will describe like what Krishna is doing at all the 8 time periods of the day. I don't know, that's just my guess, but as I mentioned, this is the first time I've ever heard about this topic. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe I need to look at that section again. But yeah. That probably wasn't a very helpful answer because I don't really know the answer, but that's just what came to my mind. Yeah. All right. So is there anything else? Otherwise, I'll end it for today. Okay, so see you all tomorrow for Bhakti Tattva Vivek. Haribol.